Okay. Good morning, Bert. How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you very much. Very good. The weather is good. Some kind of snow outside, but it's good.
Oh, okay. Welcome for being with us. Thank you very much. And you are a German director, a documentarist. So let's start from the beginning. What brought you to make this decision to become a non-fiction filmmaker? And when did you do it?
Yeah, first of all, it's a long story, but to say it short, I was first doing my first documentary in 1998 when I was a journalist for a German TV magazine. We did
Mhm.
small magazine films, but in 1998 there was my first documentary about climbing on K2, the second highest mountain of the world. I was there with a Italian climber, a mountaineer, and he failed 100 meters below the peak. So, but what I saw from this point on, it was my passion. So, making films are part of my life. So you
Right.
can understand maybe. And since then, I did over 60 documentaries in different parts of the world and with different topics.
So mostly of them anyway are and were about environment. You are an environmentalist, we can say that.
Yeah, so there was one incident in 2007 that makes me an environmental filmmaker. So in 2006 or 2007, around these years, there were the first news about the bee loss worldwide. You can remember maybe. So, and for me as a journalist, I wanted to know why. What are the reasons for this big bee loss in the world and insect loss afterwards? So I did a lot of research, and there was a company in Germany which are also has some people in the States. So, and there was the first evidence that pesticide companies are the main factor of the bee loss. So
Uh,
and and then so on, you go deeper into research, and at the end, you are
So,
into.
yeah, let me mention one experience that really impressed me a lot. You made a documentary which was essentially a j'accuse against Bayer and Syngenta, and so I'm wondering which challenges you had been faces during that.
Yeah, so in this time, it was around 2014 or 2017 to 2017, there was a new pesticide on the market. They called neonicotinoids. It's a neurotoxin. They're
Mhm.
almost in cigarettes, for example. So, and the impact on the neurosystems are really serious. So, and Bayer invented these neurotoxics, and they did a lot of research. And our aspect was we had an insider, an toxicologist from Holland, and he had evidence that Bayer knew before the approval of the EU of the EU institutions of these pesticides, that Bayer knew about the danger of these neonicotinoids for bees and for the insects. So in fact, these pesticides are little, as you die immediately when you get a high dose. But with a small dose of these pesticides, you die after weeks, days, months. So, and that was new because normally you have a pesticide and you can die or not. Yes. And in this case, there was a sub-lethal aspect, and that was really new. And we had a lot of evidence. And one of the big challenges was, okay, we were three people at this time, and so we founded a new company because there was a possibility to being sued by Bayer. So, and at the end, we founded this limited liability company in Germany, and then we started the job. So, and at the end, we had this documentary, and we weren't being sued.
Sure.
We wasn't.
And, you know. At this point, I have another question. Despite the overwhelming evidence, of how harmful the pesticides are for pollinators, but also for humans, I mean, why are they still sold?
Yeah, the problem is the lobbyism, you know. The lobbies are strong and powerful. And in this case, the lobby of really harmful pesticide companies, of farmer associations, which not want to have an organic agriculture in the world, and with some conservative politicians in the parliaments, even in the EU, are responsible that we not going on and we have no better results in protecting insects or bees. For example, we had our elections last Sunday in Germany, and the new Minister for Agriculture in Germany would be a member of the German Farmer Association. So that means, in fact, that organic agriculture at the end, okay, to be very careful, not be will not be rise in the next future, next 4 years. So that's a problem. On the other side, we have the approval system for pesticides, for example, in the European Union. The approval system is very industry friendly, to say it short, in a short way.
Yeah.
So, and for example, the honeybees are playing a big role in these approval systems. They are the insects. When you have a new pesticides, you have, for example, 100 honeybees, and
Mhm.
you test them on a special doses of these pesticides. And then, as you can see, when 51 of these honeybees are not dying, so the pesticide is approved
Of course.
in this test.
Yeah.
And the problem is that honeybees are cultivated by humans, and there are other wild insects, and these wild insects are very much more sensitive to pesticides. That's one reason for the big insect loss in the world, that you test, for example, if you are a strong man, a strong human, you eat so much and you're very strong, so you can afford some kind of toxins in your body and you will not die. But if you are weak, so and not so strong, you have problems. And that's the way with the insect.
Sure. So, I mean, we have more than 20,000 different pollinators, as far as I know. So you're saying that the big risk is for all these pollinators that are a precious resources as a natural capital, even more than the honeybees, which are only a little, a little part of that. Yeah, I understand. And, you know, but there is also something more I'd like to dig in with you. And, the scientists describe this as an ecological Armageddon because it's not only the problem of the pollinators, but, the point is where all these chemical actually go and which is the real risk for humans besides the agriculture, besides the loss that we obviously can have in terms of biodiversity and all of this, but there is a big risk also for other aspects.
Yeah. Yeah, let me say something at first. So we have a big problem in speaking different languages concerning, for example, the word nature. So, in fact, in our industrial um, um, nations, we speak about nature and then we speak about our humans. So, but we are part of the nature, you know, we can't live without the nature.
Of
So that's
course.
framing. Yeah, so that's framing. That means without biodiversity, without all these millions and billions of insects, at the end, we are also deteriorating. The humans are depend on nature, so that's the fact, and we are not depending on the internet or on digital innovations or something like that. If something happens outside with the nature, it comes back to us. So, and to be honest, there was a time in the last year that topics about insect mortalities or insect the loss of insects are on the top news in the media worldwide. So nowadays we have other topics. Every day, every second, you can read something about Donald Trump, uh, something about him, sometimes very not interesting. But the insect mortality continues. So there are new evidence. For example, there's a new German study from Darmstadt from scientists. They say that almost not only on the fields, on the agriculture soil, the loss is following and rising. Almost in the forest, we have a big insect loss, for example, at the moment, and almost in this kind of forest where forestry will be taking place. So that means almost in natural forests with a big biodiversity. So the impact of bee loss or insect loss, sorry, is not that high than in forestry industry. So, and that's the problem. Every time we do something with nature, something is getting better or worse. And we have to look about these fields very, very, very responsible. And that it's now the problem that all these topics are going in the background because of the right-wing policies and politicians. That's a big problem at the moment. And almost with climate change, it's the same.
Yeah, and
And the next problem is, for example, to say something more, is that one beekeeper told me one story one time. He said, "Okay, look, we have this big bee loss, for example, and the problem is that the bees are very small. You see, a, a, a king bee is like 4 centimeters or 7 centimeters long.
mhm,
So, and he said, imagine that these bees, for example, 20 bees are lying in the soil. These bees are cattle, yeah,
mhm,
or pigs or something like that.
yes,
And you see, that's the problem. The bees are too small for us.
I see. Yeah, yeah. And anyway, sometimes I feel like uh, there is some forces that can absolutely take profit and
Mm,
benefit out
mm,
of the environmental destruction. So, what are the key forces in your view that you know are preventing real changes?
mm. So, in general, we have a problem with our um, market system. I think that's one of the main points. The capitalism is one point, uh, and it's also the solution of the problem. I think if we can arrange a system that not only develops on your individual use in your um, in that way that companies can do what they want if they get profit from bad systems or bad pesticides, so they can do it. So if we, I think it's a big discussion at the moment which systems can help us to solve the problem. But to be deeper inside this problem is, as I said, the lobby of pesticide companies, of farmers associations, of some politicians is so strong and so big that there's no real change. And there are four or five major pesticide companies, for example, in the world. That's Bayer, Syngenta, and one Chinese company and one other American company. They have so big power in the world. For example, they refuse to change industrial agriculture because they do a good business worldwide. And for example, if you have um, mm, they don't care about pesticides, which are banned, for example, in the European Union. So they just sell it them elsewhere in South America, for example. I was in the Amazonian rainforest 3 years ago, and we went to a very remote village for the night. And there was a soccer pitch, a soccer field, And I was wondering, there were no weeds on the soccer field. And after a while, we going around and around, and there was a little house, and there were some big blue barrels with the sign, with the signature of Bayer, And they used a weed killer. In in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of one of the most um, um, protected biodiversity places in the world. So they don't care.
Incredible. It's
It's
incredible.
only about profits.
Yeah, yeah. And okay, anyway, just for that, you recently join us in this project we have, which is called Buzz of Transformation. And with this project, we're going to tell uh, at least, let's say, 24 stories in any single continent, in which we want to underline some stories about ordinary people making the extraordinary with the help of the bees. And so, what made you decide to join us?
So first of all, I'm very delighted to be part of your team, Mosi. Thank you very much. So
No,
that's a
thank
big,
you.
that's a big honor for me, and that you want to implement such a challenging project. It is so necessary, almost for the protection of bees, for the insects in the ecosystems. But almost, and this is one of the most factors for the people, they have to understand that it's also in their own interest. It's a
Yeah,
matter of humanity, your project, not
absolutely.
only about bees or the ecosystem. That's the way, or that's one of the reasons why I want to join your team. And yes, I'm looking forward to do
Yeah,
the job.
let me add one thing. I think one of the most important thing we can do all together is to help the millions of people that every day with the microeconomy are working behind the bees, but not only behind the bees, behind the agriculture, behind everything, is somehow on the real, actual, concrete border between humans and nature, because of course we are part of nature, but we actually use the source, the resource of nature, and sometimes we do it well, sometimes we do it a little less well. And so to be aware of what it counts and to create, to help at least to create a culture, a new culture for the new generation is mandatory. It's mandatory for some seniors like the two of us or the other people of the collective. And so, and I'm very happy about the fact that we are doing this as a team, as a collective, because I believe that, to have also a different cultural perspective, it is very important, because what we see, the two of us, we live in Europe, for example, what we see is a little part of the reality. Just, the point of the iceberg of the truth. And then, what a guy in Africa can see or in Asia, it's probably something different. And I believe that what we are trying to do is, for the first time, really a compelling series about, at the very end of the day, nature and human being.
Yeah. I think the most one of the most important things about your job is, or about your work is that you do that worldwide. You do it not only in
Yeah.
Italy or in Germany or in another nation. So that's the most important part. And as you said, we have the different perspectives of the people from South America, from Asia, from Africa, and it's really, I'm overwhelmed, about your project. I'm really excited.
So thank you for being with us, Bert. And
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to shooting with you on fields very, very, very soon. Thank
definitely.
you. And
Thanks a lot, Thomas.
everybody stay with us. This is Buzz of Transformation, and there is more to come. Ciao.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.